Welcome, friends. Let us together rebuild this world so that we may live, laugh, and lore.
I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
Not listening. I'm not listening.
Oh, that took.
Program loaded and ready.
Make it so.
Welcome to the Live, Laugh, Lore podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Tony.
And I'm Mark.
And really, this is just a podcast that has been 20-odd years in the making. So we're cousins. And right around probably 2005, we were in a basement playing some Battlefront 2. Probably breaking friendships with galactic, conquest. But no, here we are, talking about all that stuff. But really, the motivation for this is we wanted to have a platform to just talk about what we love and kind of just share that love to the community. So glad you're here.
Yeah, so it's going to be about an hour-long episodes we're shooting for, and probably about every other week starting out. Make it more, make it less, so we're just kind of figuring things out. As we go.
Very dynamic state. We're just going to kind of see how it works on our schedules. And then also kind of what we want to do. We kind of said the motivation, but now let's say while we're here, right? So what we're here for is really just to kind of expand on some of the topics that we absolutely love, right? Lore. And with that, we're kind of do this kind of different games. Today, what we're going to see is we're going to see a what if. So this is kind of our way of saying, hey, we have some premise on something that we love in some environment that we love, and we're going to swap it. And then also we'll do something called a mix-up, where Mark and I have this grab bag, and we have multitude of secondary characters, not primary characters, secondary characters, and from all the different lores that we love. And basically, we're going to give them a silly prompt and then just go forward and say, how would that play out? And then there's going to be some other games moving forward, and we'd love to have some community feedback where if we get questions, answer them, or, kind of motivations, or just anything that revolves around lore, right? Because, the staple, you see live, laugh, love everywhere. We just want to live, laugh, lore. We're not replacing love, but we just want to replace it with more lore. So, Mark, bring us in.
Yeah, so like Tony said, we're just going to have a few games. The games will change over different episodes, and we'll find new games and kind of see what we like, what people want us to do. So for our first podcast, we're doing a what if, and in this scenario, for those of you who may not know, in the Star Wars, there's Darth Sidious, or Emperor Palpatine, and his Sith Master was Darth Plagueis. And in the Legends, there's a whole book about him. It's not canon.
Oh, canon for us.
It should be canon.
It
should be canon.
Canon for us.
When Disney bought it, they
you nixed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but in this what-if scenario, in the book, Plagueis is killed by Palpatine.
Mm-hmm. Also in the movies, but
in the movies, because in Episode 3, he tells Anakin about the story.
You ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis' wife?
It's not a story the Jedi would tell you.
Yeah, no way.
No. So in this scenario, it's what if Plagueis wakes up while Palpatine's trying to kill him, because he killed him in his sleep, and they fight, and Plagueis wins, and Palpatine's dead. How would that change the effects of this story?
Yeah, what's happening? And yeah, thanks, Mark. And also just to kind of set the stage more, this is what we see in Episode 3. Palpatine sitting with the water opera, telling Anakin the super messed up story on how he killed his master. And it's actually unique, too, because I would highly recommend the book. It's actually written by James Luceno.
That sounds right.
And so in it, you see this way more in-depth character to Darth Plagueis. It's not just this guy who was sleeping. It turns out that when he said he killed him in his sleep, it was actually in celebration. It got to a point where throughout the events of Phantom Menace, Plagueis is still alive and well. I mean, it's still going on. And it's getting to a point where everything happens both with the regime of the politics, where Palpatine was really spearheading, as well as the more of the financial resource regime or spearhead, which was done by Plagueis. And it all came to fruition. He was partying, and that night, that's when Palpatine's like, you had your run. You know what I mean? And,
right.
And so it's just kind of crazy. So, sorry, I just wanted to set the scene a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not just that one-off story. There's a beautiful story more on the back of it.
And I think what is really important to note here is that in the main timeline, Palpatine got to the Senate, got to where he was because of Plagueis.
100%.
He was found on Naboo because there was certain...
They're looking for financial help from the international or intergalactic banking clan,
correct.
the IBC. Sorry, I should have done backstory more on this. So Plagueis is a Mun, and that race is very advanced, known for just their proficiency as well as affinity to just, banking, financial institutions, and building up empires. So Plagueis is very much encapsulated in this world, and he's going about and saying, hey, I can do all those string pullings, the hard things, which is financial backment, but I need somebody who's, because he can't double dip, right? He can't go into the political sphere and say, no, by the way, I control all the money, but also, you know what I mean?
People were not particularly fond of the Muns.
Correct.
Yeah.
They were kind of more or less like, oh my gosh, they handle the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just get out of their way, let them do. It's like the Iron Bacon, like Game of Thrones. Like,
correct.
Dude, they're gonna get their comeuppance, right? And I think that's what caused them, because they're not really the people for the people. Because they're very cold. It's just like, hey, this is ones and zeros. Like, the financial statements come in. I don't care about your war.
Yep.
It's just a question of,
you owe us money.
In this.
Yeah.
This is profitable, and you owe us money. Yeah. So what side needs to pay the piper kind of deal? Once again, backstory. But yes, he was going into Naboo. He sees Palpatine and senses him and goes, whoa, this is pretty crazy. And just kind of one more backstep on it. He's taking away the Banian, Darth Bane, rule of two. So he's no longer trying to say, hey, we need a master and apprentice. He's just trying to find a co-partner in this. And that's what Palpatine was to him. So sorry, Mark, I interrupted. But yeah. I just wanted to get that backstory because
No, I think it's great. Because
now we're here.
One more thing I think we should note is that in the beginning of the story, Darth Plagueis kills his master, Darth Tenebris.
Correct.
So it was a little bit of...
And his hand was forced.
Yep.
Yeah. Tenebris, which, oh, by the way, was a Bith. And the Biths are so lovingly in Mos Eisley. They're the Mos Eisley band.
Yeah.
So, love them. You know what I mean? Apparently, wizards at calculation. But yet, they choose the profession of... I don't know. It's just funny because they're just like these band clerks, but apparently they have a really crazy mind. But yeah, Darth Tenebris came in and had his own apprentice, Venomous. Basically, he had a secret apprentice. He was like, dude, this Plagueis, he's kind of a dud, right? I've been training him. I've been pushing him. And he was a big Bane guy. He's like, no. We have to do Master and Sith. Why aren't you trying to attack me and take your mantle? And Plagueis is like, dude, this is so counterproductive. Like, this worked 100 years ago, but right now it's not working.
Right.
And so his hand was forced because then Venomous comes in.
Yep.
Venomous tries to kill Plagueis. And then, by the way, spoiler alert, I should have said that in the beginning. If you don't want to read the book, read the book highly, but there's some spoilers in here. Yeah, so Venomous goes in, and he's actually the first experimental stuff that he does with cloning, which then we can talk about the sequels with all Palpatine's cloning, because that's Plagueis 1-1, but that's a separate story for a separate podcast.
Yeah, and let's leave a little mystery of the book.
Correct.
All they need to know is that he killed his master.
Correct.
And that he was big into cloning, because I think we're going to dip into that a little
100%.
bit.
100%. Yep.
That he's the one who pulled the strings. He got Palpatine to where he was in the Senate, to his power state.
Yes.
And now, Palpatine tried to kill him. So
Palpatine tries to kill him, and he, let's just say, because one of the good things about what is, we assume they're true. Right?
Yes. Yep.
Plagueis wakes up, filled with Sith power, actually overtakes Palpatine.
Yes, because Palpatine was a nobody. Well, not a nobody in Naboo. His family was of light nobility.
Yeah,
they were in politics, but he wasn't going to go to the Galactic Senate without Plagueis.
Yep.
So that's where we are. That's
correct.
Where the scene is set.
Yep. And I also apologize, Mark. Even when you said that statement, I got so excited. I love this book so much. I just want to jump at every opportunity because I was like, well, Palpatine's family. So sorry. I also don't want this to be a podcast either. I'm just very excitable, so I do apologize. But good. But the stage is set.
Yes.
Good go.
So the first question is, what are the immediate impacts in the Galactic Senate? Because this is right when they had voted no confidence in Chancellor Valorum, and Palpatine was, I think, he was elected, and that's why they were celebrating, or what were they celebrating him?
I'm almost certain it was his election. I can't remember if it was I don't think it was no confidence. I'm almost certain it was his election. Yeah. What happens? Politically, Palpatine's dead. So we already know that at this point, the Clone Wars is inevitable.
Yes.
Right? The separation, the Confederacy of Independent Systems, CIS, which is the antagonist, really, for the Clone Wars, they're already disgruntled. This whole no confidence with Valorum is really not helping, and everything is kind of in this weird shift of the Clone Wars is occurring, whether we want to or not, right? All this is already set up. Now it's just a question of, with Palpatine dead, this is huge. If he's, at this point, if he's going to go get appointed to the chancellorship, does he get replaced? Is it another vote? Do people go, whoa, we just voted no confidence, and our main guy runner-up is just dead in the night? Like, what happens? What do you do? And I think, do you put it on? I mean, I want to say Jar Jar Binks, but clearly not. You know what I mean? But, like, what do you do?
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I don't think they'll bring Valorum back. They already just moved him out. However, this to the greater Senate may look like a hit job by Valorum. So,
yeah.
So
Who
now,
done it?
Yeah. So now it's a whole investigation of what happened.
Yeah.
Which Plagueis, I think, wants disarray in the Senate. He wants the Confederation to expand and people to be all up in arms.
See, he wanted that, but I think at this point he might not necessarily want that because he needs someone who he can personally control.
To manipulate, yeah.
Yeah. Because the time for chaos was earlier. Now is the time for finger on the pulse.
Yeah.
We need to figure this out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't even think about the whodunit perspective of the Valorum being...
Do they charge Valorum for it? I mean...
What do you do?
When you're like, okay, so my political rival was killed, who's the number one suspect? The one who just... The guy who lost his job.
Yeah, important note, too. This is not known that Plagueis and Palpatine are, like, one. Like, there's literally no connections. I mean, it takes them, oh my gosh, like 4 movies. You know what I mean? Like, or 3 movies in a series to kind of start piecing together just a Sifo-Dyas piece of the puzzle, right? Let alone this whole thing. So for all intents and purposes, dear listener, it's not like they can just go, whoa, Plagueis is a prime suspect, right? No. This is shadow accounts. Like there's no way they can bring it back to Plagueis. So
right.
I think they would go naturally to Valorum. Or it would even cause a bigger rift for the CIS to be like, it's clearly a hit job for you guys because, by the way, Palpatine was huge on keeping everything together. No, I don't want you guys to go. Please, stay. The Republic, it's warm. You know what I mean? It's
great.
Welcoming. You know? We'll protect you. You scratch our back. And they separate. So I think they might even go so much and say, at this time, there wasn't really a masthead of the Trade Federation. Well, Trade Federation was the CIS. We might get a little too much into politics. I apologize. But at the same time, too, do you think they would have blamed it? Like, is Dooku still in the mix at this point? I mean, who's the leader of the separatists that they're going? I think it actually might have been you.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Dooku's in the mix yet because he falls when Qui-Gon dies, which we're going to get to eventually. Right? That's his nail in the coffin of him leaving the Jedi.
Yeah.
His best friend's dead.
Yeah.
His confidant is dead.
His dear, yeah. Another thing, too, is we might just leave this open-ended, too.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like we need to solve... Dude, I wish Disney was paying us to write this.
Yeah,
but they're
right?
not.
No.
So, hey, we'll have that. But, yeah, we can also just leave it as a question of just going...
Right.
It might just be a whodunit.
Yeah, and I hope we get emails from our listeners on their thoughts as well.
Yeah. Just some, Trandoshan. They're like, dude.
Some thought that we never thought of.
Also, in these what-ifs, if you guys come up with something that you feel is a point that we might have missed or we're not touching on, please contact us. We'd love to hear it.
Mm-hmm. Let's take this step by step. I think there's probably going to be an investigation or at least mass chaos in the Senate now that Palpatine's dead. They need to invoke someone else.
At least
Padme's well liked.
Yeah, and it's also from Naboo.
And she was for keeping the Senate together.
The Republic.
Planets.
Yeah, the Republic at a whole.
Now, Padme's not going to be easy manipulatable.
Yeah. Manipulated?
So, Plagueis...
Able to be manipulated? Manipulated, yeah.
So, Plagueis is not going to like that.
No, I don't think he's going Padme.
So this is my theory.
But the Senate could choose Padme, and then it gets even crazier.
Yeah, but I think at this point, because Palpatine was his guy in the Senate, he needs a new guy in the Senate. At least short term, he's got his alter ego, which is Higo Damask, the Mun.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Nice.
The Banking Confederation has representatives in the Senate.
Yeah, you actually see them in the third movie.
Correct. So I'm thinking he uses his power to become a representative, and now he's in the Senate.
Dude, because he already... Okay.
And therefore, now, I mean, his face is gone. So now he needs to take drastic measures and needs to be in the Senate. Therefore, he can manipulate easier in the Senate. He can whisper. He can do some backdoor deals.
Yeah. It would just be so hard to gain that traction, though. Because once again, we already proved that, people aren't really fans of Muns.
Yeah.
The reason why they have a council position is it's like...
Well, they are a system. They are
a system. They handle our finances. And I think another thing, too, is that, personally for Plagueis, once again, the reason why he assigned Palpatine, for a multitude of reasons, but one of the biggest ones, he had no interest in politics. It bugged him.
Right.
It's just the EQ of Muns is not there. Right, and let alone a Sith Mun, right? That's you're doubling down on a double, right?
But I
at
think
least split those aces.
It forced his hand when his apprentice.
Correct. If it
Now-
forces his hand, I'm curious if he would put up, because everything else is already, it's a snowball turning into an avalanche.
Yeah.
I don't think he has to have his hands on the because first off, he doesn't have his hands on anything because he dies.
Right.
So it's just a question of now, does he shift his focus on pure politics, or does he refocus his efforts on rebuilding his Sith order the way he sees fit? What happens?
True, but as a Sith, as a user of the Force, in the Senate, even though people don't like Muns, he could probably do the Jedi mind trick, the Sith mind trick.
Yeah.
There are weak minds in the Senate that he could manipulate easily, I think.
Yeah, but he would have to be super careful because
Correct.
right now...
Nobody
Palpatine-
trusts anybody in the Senate right now.
Yes, nobody trusts anybody. I think the Jedi, when Palpatine dies, they're going to go, whoa, there's a pretty heavy plot afoot. There's something going on.
Yeah.
And I also think, too, as much as Plagueis was this crazy big manipulator in the shadows, so it's like, would he be so bold, go to the Senate floor and be, oh, by the way, Trandoshan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Please vote for my side.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Now-
think he might.
Now, this is the fun part. If Darth Jar Jar was a thing, this is where he'd come in.
Dude.
He would be the natural selection.
100%.
Right?
Because it's just the gullibleness.
No one would expect it. No one would expect it.
100%. The Senate would just be like, dude, this is the perfect guy. We can all manipulate him because they're like, dude, he's so gullible. Everyone's just like licking their lips because they're like, oh my gosh, I can control this guy. There's no way that, you know what I mean? So in my heart of hearts, I do want to say Darth Jar Jar, but I also don't want that to be my response for every what if, especially related to Star Wars.
Correct.
There might even be a Battlestar Galactica one where I go, this guy Jar Jar, you know what I mean? So I kind of want to back off on the Darth Jar Jar.
Maybe
just from
we need
episode
to
one.
reach out to James Luceno. Is that what his name was?
Yeah,
to write a Darth Jar Jar book, and then it puts all of our worries to bed.
Put everything to bed. It would be really funny. And honestly, there's no ties because right now it's with Disney. So, and this is not technically canon. So, yeah, I don't know. I think with that being said, do you kind of want to move maybe over with the Sith side of stuff?
Yeah,
or do
sure.
you want to? Because I feel like we've covered the.
Yeah, because and like you said, open ended. Because I really don't know what would happen. I don't know who would
It's so
take over.
difficult.
Who would? Yeah.
And I think another thing too is when we talk about the Sith part, it's going to naturally bleed into politics too.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be this ebb and flow.
So my first question about the Sith part, if you don't mind, is does Plagueis know about Maul? I don't remember from the book.
Yes, he does. He is actually super against Maul because the knee-jerk reaction was he's going, whoa, Palpatine, what are you doing? This is me and you partnership. We're no longer doing this Bane stuff.
Yeah, Rule of Two's out.
Rule of Two's out. What are you doing with this guy? And then that's when Palpatine's going, no, he's our assassin. He's actually, this is what we need to do. Not only am I the political face, but I can make myself the Sith face. So I can be the master of the Sith. And then here is Maul, my assassin. By the way, he's an assassin.
Yeah.
He's lowly. He's not even a partner to us. But the Jedi are going to react to him and go, whoa. Sith are back. And it's the rule of two. And it's going to be this huge left curveball because it turns out, no, they don't
There's
do
more,
rule of two. Yeah, there's more. So I think at first it was a very natural what's going on. But then I think it turned into, I think Palpatine, as brilliant as he was politics-wise, I'm not a huge Palpatine fan, so I won't do my bias, but he was brilliant. Especially with EQ and people's emotions and being able to piece the logical side of this Mun going, help me help you.
Right.
This is good for us, right?
But with Palpatine gone now, does he reconsider Maul? Does he just go kill Maul? What do you think?
I don't know. That's so difficult. Because by the time...
It's kind of a loose end if he doesn't, you know?
Correct. It is a huge loose end. Because Maul was directly to Palpatine. Maul never met Plagueis. He had no idea. That's why he thought Palpatine was so all-powerful, especially in the Clone Wars. You watch him, he's like, open your... Like, when he's talking to Ahsoka, that beautiful scene, he's like, open your eyes, like, the Republic's already done. Because he's this huge, not fan of Palpatine, but he's going, oh my God, look what my master did, without truly appreciating the other half, which was actually a huge half. Right. Sorry, long tangent by just saying that he's a Palpatine man through and through. So my worry is, if Plagueis went to him, it's not what Plagueis would decide. It would actually be what Maul decides. Because I think Maul would go, wait, you killed my master?
And then out of loyalty, he would attack Plagueis. And Plagueis like, all right, well, no, I guess I got to kill
and
you.
just eliminate him.
Yeah.
I think that might be a little bit more probable.
Yeah.
You actually see it. Man, I get so excited about this stuff. So I'm sorry if I keep over-explaining.
No,
but
that's good.
I get super excited because Maul's brother, I can't remember his name for the life of me.
I know who you're talking about, though.
In the Clone Wars.
Sean would know, but anyway.
Yeah. Shoot.
Savage Opress?
Savage Opress. Thank you. you. Oh my gosh, he's actually voiced by the guy who does Mr. Krabs. Fun fact.
Clancy Brown,
Yeah, Clancy Brown. Love him, dude.
He's also the governor in Rebels, and he's...
Oh, yeah, he does a ton.
Yeah,
and
he's a character in Mandalorian.
And a bank heist. So actually, you see that training firsthand. If you rewatch Clone Wars and you see Maul train Savage, you see what Palpatine did to him, which was like insane training. You are literally a weapon at my disposal. Like, I will destroy you if I even feel a hint that you are even an inkling, a whisper, a butterfly wing tap away from going against me, I will end you kind of deal. Yeah. And it was just full training through oppression and stuff like that. So you see the way he was trained. So that's why my knee-jerk reaction was if Plagueis came in, he's just going to go frenzy. He's going to see red, and he's going to go. Yeah. So I really don't think Maul's it. But I would love to hear your thoughts on if Maul dies.
He's at ground zero.
That means he's at ground zero. And that also means Qui-Gon lives. But Count Dooku's still very disgruntled. I'm wondering, what's your thoughts? Do you think Plagueis would pull on that thread?
Absolutely, he would pull on that thread. But Qui-Gon's the other voice now. So, and Qui-Gon's disgruntled too. So he's being pulled from both sides.
Qui-Gon's disgruntled by the politics of the Force, where Plagueis is disgruntled by the politics of the world.
Yeah.
So they're there. So when you say two voices, I think that's what you mean. Correct. Okay.
Yeah. Qui-Gon's beefs with the Jedi Council. And
100%.
That's always has been, always will be. When Dooku and Obi-Wan meet, Dooku was convinced that Qui-Gon would have joined him, and Obi-Wan was not. I think Obi-Wan was right, only because of Anakin. If they did not find Anakin, Obi-Wan was going to be a Jedi Knight. Qui-Gon would have been super proud of Obi-Wan, but upset with the world, and I think he may have joined Dooku. But he promised Shmi he would train Anakin in the way of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. And he's an honorable man, so I think he would have. Because of that, he would not have joined Dooku. Would Dooku have ended up leaving? Maybe, but he would have had a lot harder time leaving Qui-Gon. If Qui-Gon kept saying, Master, I think we can work it out.
I think if we have our collective voices heard,
yes,
we keep going to the council, we keep saying...
Because Obi-Wan would be with Qui-Gon too, so now they've got three voices.
Correct. And, by the way, this would have been a huge version because when Anakin comes into play, that questions everything. Look at that council decision. Yeah. Their knee-jerk reaction was to follow their old ways, which was absolutely not.
He's too old.
Yeah, way too old. He's got way too many connections. He could not possibly accept our mantra with this many connections, which, by the way, Count Dooku's also got some baggage as well.
Yeah.
Right? So, but the point that I was kind of going about was the fact that I'm wondering if the piece of Anakin is the puzzle, though, for the Jedi. Because Anakin comes in, they change their minds, and then there goes Qui-Gon going, Dooku, Master, look.
The chosen
one. Yeah, they changed. Like, it is out of our obligation to the living Force to uphold this being that clearly was born out of the Force. Which, by the way, read James Luciano's book. Yeah. Please do. Because it gives you more insight on exactly what's going on with that. So, is that enough for Dooku to stay, right? You have the voice of Obi-Wan. You got the voice of Qui-Gon. You have now this new blood coming into the Jedi Order. The Jedi Order changing.
It's the hope. Yeah.
Is this the spark that lights the fire?
Yeah.
Or does Plagueis come in and goes, whoa. You know what I mean? That's where I'm kind of curious.
So, because my thought is this. If, let's say, Dooku is convinced by Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and he stays.
Yep, let's go down that path.
Plagueis needs somebody. I was thinking about this, and I think what could have happened, because he had that cloning, and he was dabbling with, sorry, another spoiler of the book, but he was able to resurrect and kill.
Venomous.
But Sifo-Dyas, no one knows where he is. Yeah. They just assume he's dead. And I think he is dead. Resurrect him, because he was already turning Sith. Right?
No, he's actually alive.
So, perfect. Yeah. But he's already turning.
Correct.
Partnership. Now he's got a mole in the Jedi. Mm-hmm. And I think he was on the council when he left.
He was. Yeah.
So now he's got even a mole on the Jedi Council.
Yeah, wow.
So it's a different angle. He doesn't have the Senate angle anymore, but he has the Jedi angle.
I think he went path of least resistance. Political angle is, as funny as it sounds, is so much easier.
Agreed.
But you're right. I love the Sifo-Dyas angle. I didn't even think about that. Because he wouldn't necessarily have to resurrect him. So Sifo-Dyas is alive. There's actually that Clone Wars episode where they do end up killing him. So he's alive and well. So yeah, I wonder if he would be enough Team Plagueis to go against that. But it's kind of tough because I think at the time when they convinced him, it was more this really big political scheme. It wasn't against Jedi necessarily. It was more or less like, hey, Jedi are blind, but also here's this really crazy political thing going on. I'm not quite sure if it'd be enough, but also let's pull on that thread because I freaking love it.
Yeah.
Let's just say yeah.
Yeah.
Sifo Dyas is all in.
Yeah.
He's the mole.
Yeah.
I do want to mention this. Snoke 2.0. Well, technically this would be Snoke 1.0, but
Correct.
I'm just saying.
Snoke Prime, yeah.
Yeah, Snoke Prime. Yeah. He's got a goatee. It's like Star Trek, like in the Prime universe. No, but like I'm wondering if there is a capability of this now Force figure that's truly off the books, right? Because if it's bred in a lab, it's kind of hard to track. Not saying that. I don't even know if they have an identification system necessarily, but my point is that like this is an off the book Force wielding entity. Because I don't want to spoil a lot of the book, but yes, there's a huge coin portion. This is what he's trying to uncover is this eternal life. So he's just trying to get back to this eternal life thing. Because that's another one of his big things. The only reason why he did all this politics stuff is he believed that this is where the Sith is leading him. But selfishly, his first thing that he does is actually solve the eternal life problem. And once he solves that, then he goes, let's just worry about this politics stuff, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, it's actually kind of funny. You actually see his brain change in the book. He's just like, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Like, let's go attack this other problem, which is like, what? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I like that you bring that Snoke aspect into it, because now, if he's got Sifo Dyas on the council, Snoke can be the Dooku figure, the leader of the CIS.
Yeah.
And now he's good there. He can manipulate from the CIS side, but you still have the Republic side that he can't. But at this point in the story, there would have been a new guy he would have gotten in there. You know what I mean?
Most certainly. But I think he probably wanted a Force wielder. You know what I mean? Because I think another thing is that I don't know if this was necessarily intended, but the second that Count Dooku joins, that was a huge kick to the Jedi. Like it really toppled him over.
Right.
It was like, whoa. We have someone who literally turned away. Yeah. You know what I mean? It wasn't turn away from the mantra. It was so much that it was turning away than actively appealing against us. So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I think they almost need some kind of form factor shakeup. So either Count Sifo Dyas or Count Dooku. Because it's like, wait, do you want the mole in the Jedi Council or do you want them leading the thing? Because let's just assume if Count Dooku stays with his boys, you know what I mean? And Kit sticks with the Jedi, who do you have leading? You know, there's no kick to the Jedi Order that they needed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That's a tough thing. I think another big one too is the mole is just so appealing.
Yeah.
Because
it always makes for a good story.
Always makes for a good story. That's a Darth Revan thing. Huge Darth Revan thing, right? You know what I mean? He was this Jedi, turns bad, the Emperor comes in, which this is like the real Emperor, right? Not Emperor Palpatine, but this is the Emperor. Emperor kind of gives a little zappy zap, and then he's now kind of a sleeper agent that's back in. And then he becomes a double agent. It just gets really confusing. Yeah. I would highly recommend the games. They're fun. Yeah, I just love that narrative of the mole. Because I think another point that we wrote down is like, how long will it take Yoda and Windu to notice, right?
Yeah.
Like, how long does it take them to piece together a lot of this political suspicion and draw it to some higher power, which is inevitably the Sith are active again?
Because as masters of the Force, it took an embarrassingly a long amount of time to figure out who Palpatine was. Granted, he was pretty much equal to Yoda in that sense on the dark side, so he was masking himself pretty well.
Correct. But that was one of the things that they go over in the book, which I really like, is Plagueis is a master at it and trains Palpatine in complete masking. He's a Mun, and he's interacted with all these different... No Force-sensitive person has ever realized Plagueis' power. Same thing with Palpatine. Until he, quite frankly, pulls a lightsaber and does a 360 no-scope in the Jedi, you know what I mean, in the Councilman's chambers. Like, no one knows.
It's treason, then.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just wild to me that, like, they are so innate in this ability. You're right. So can't rely on them figuring out the ability just through Force sensitivity.
Yeah.
But how long does it take them to put the yarn on the wall, go, whoa?
Well, I think it's still going to take a long time.
Because it still goes to Sifo Dyas, by the way. This yarn trail goes to Sifo Dyas.
Right, I was going to say, instead of Palpatine trying to collect Anakin, it's Sifo
mole.
Dyas. Yeah,
They get the mole.
That's how it goes through.
100%.
And they think Sifo Dyas, when they do figure it out, they think Sifo Dyas is the master. They think he is it. They still don't know about Plagueis.
He's some disgruntled person.
Yep.
That has gone so willingly. The only problem is like, if you pull on that thread long enough, you do see the IBC Intergalactic Banking Claim. they stamp a few things and write a few checks. So I think they might just look at it and go, oh my gosh, he has influence in the international bank, which honestly they might be so blind they might actually go down that right. They may go, oh no, he's got some ties or whatever, but I don't think they would cross the T's and dot the I all the way up to Plagueis.
Right. I think it's very unlikely they find it all. They take down Sifo-Dyas eventually, and they're happy. But the war's still going on. So they think they've got the head of it. Now they're kind of curing the system.
Man, dude, I love these what ifs because we can go for so long too. Because I think another big one too is that, so let's say they do go to Sifo-Dyas, is that when Plagueis goes, everything's going south. I either need to end this Clone Wars and get the heat off my back, because if I can perpetuate this, they're gonna go, whoa, we took out the masthead, but it's still continuing. So then he's going to have to reevaluate everything. And then that's where our last point, because also another thing, too, we kind of want to leave some time for our next section.
Yeah.
But I think the next point is that if he just straight up ends the Clone Wars and doesn't get what he really necessarily wants out of it, is that when he tries to go for Anakin.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, Anakin's the
ticket.
He's the prize, right?
Yeah.
Well, the prize is eternal life. And then whatever's secondary, right? Being Masters of the Force, right? And doing everything like that. So I think playing that out, I think he's going to try to go for Anakin.
Yeah.
So I think he sacks the war. I think he just goes, maybe while the war's still going on, he's trying to work out Anakin. Or maybe he's trying to get Sifo-Dyas to work out Anakin.
Well, yeah.
It's got to be so hard, though, because of his connections.
Well, and another thing I want to bring up, maybe the last thing on this subject, but once they take down Sifo-Dyas,
yeah,
whether or not the clones have already been brought, right? They've already known about the clones, maybe they're not. Once they do figure out Sifo-Dyas, boom, they're going to pull the plug.
Oh, I think the Clone Wars goes, by the way. I think it ignites, and I think it goes a long time.
Well,
and by the way, the clones were already bought. They were already in the processing of changing. But by the way, the cloning process, read the book. It's so good.
So they have the clones, but they know Sifo-Dyas was in charge of the clones, right?
Correct.
Now
he was the initial purchaser. Yes.
Now they know Sifo-Dyas is bad in this big bad Sith, but now his whole army was created by this big bad Sith. They're going to suspect something's wrong with the army.
Oh, you're going Order 66.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. I love it, Mark. You're coming on these angles.
Do they Order 66 their own army? But then how are they going to fight?
Dude, the moral. First off, Star Wars. Let's just kill 500,000 people and not look at it morally, right? Surely it was only evil workers on the Death Star, right?
Correct.
There was no families. There was no Stardust.
This 18-year-old kid that grew up in the Empire and really thought he was serving his galaxy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. And I think about that a lot. People are just born into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As much as they're like, hey, I've just grown up in this system. I think that's a whole nother podcast. I would love to talk about that more. And I think we will talk about that more. But actually, if you're good, do you want to start switching it up to our what if?
Sure.
Or sorry, the mix up.
Yeah, we just did the what if. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
perfect.
We're going to the mix up.
Any other points do you want to circle back on? I want to make sure we're all good to go.
No, that was the last big one I wanted to cover because I thought that was a good open end. Just think about the entire clone army dying.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What do you do?
Yeah.
Because at this point, it's already bought and paid for.
Yep.
So then they go, okay, well, do we accept this army for what it's worth,
Yeah.
or do we have them? Which is insane that no scanner checks for the clips. Which, oh, by the way, I'm Dave Filoni. I will go on my deathbed. Dave Filoni is the man.
hero.
I freaking love him.
Star Wars.
Oh my gosh, he's just the dude. That was so brilliant what they did in Clone Wars. And sorry if you haven't seen it, but it's been out for forever, so but watch it, please. The Clone Wars, the way they do Order 66 is just so beautiful.
And for those listeners, he's talking about the Clone Wars TV show.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, not Attack of the Clones, but
Correct.
Clone Wars. Yep. We have what we call a mix-up. So this is a bag that Mark and I, normally we do it live, but right now, just starting to set up, we just kind of did it randomly. Actually, my wife just picked this out. So what we're doing is we're doing character v. character. So this is a battle royale against the Lord of the Rings Blue Wizard. Now we're taking a deviation, right? So another thing about the Live, Laugh, Lore podcast is we're not married to one thing, baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Come
All
on.
lore.
All lore. All lore is good lore. We love it, please. So if you ever feel like this first episode comes out and we don't talk about Warhammer or One Piece or something that you don't love, let us know. We'd love to talk about it more. But like I said, we're deviating off. So we have the Lord of the Rings Blue Wizard versus Winky, the house elf from Harry Potter. By the way, premise is they're battling for whatever reason. We don't need to know the background. 1v1. What are we doing?
Now, yes, and I think it's important that we do just a little quick background on both of these.
Sure. Yeah.
Lord of the Rings Blue Wizards, just a quick background for those who maybe have just seen the movies and haven't researched any lore, right? Just real quick. There were 5 wizards originally, and they came down from basically Middle-earth heaven to save Middle-earth. It was after Sauron, but it was really just to keep the world in check. Or no, it was before Sauron, because Gandalf fought Sauron. They came to fight Sauron. So one was Saruman, the White Wizard, who was the leader of the bunch. Gandalf the Grey, Radagast the Brown. All 3 of those you saw in the movie. And then you have the 2 blue wizards. They're called the Maiar, the Valar.
Yep.
Essentially angels. They have their real names.
Demigod, esque.
But as far as their Middle-earth names, it's even written that, they've been lost.
Never told. It's like the mothers of Gimli and Legolas.
Yeah.
Never talked about.
So after the defeat of Sauron, they all took their regions. Radagast took the woods of Mirkwood and became an animal lover. Isengard kind of saw over the men in, Gondor and Rohan. And then Gandalf saw the Shire. The Blue Wizards went east and were never heard of again.
But I did not know this, so I love it.
Yes. And as far as power ranking goes, Saruman is
The white,
and he's the strongest. Gandalf the Grey is the second strongest. Radagast the Brown, and the Blue Wizards were equal.
Bomb 2. Yep.
So for whatever reason, that color scale, your power is based on your color, but that's how it goes.
Yeah, which if it was mine, blue would be way up.
And then
for
Winky.
Yeah, Winky. Yeah, so her background is that, once again, not really talked about in the movies, but it's in the book. So she's a house elf. Every kind of ability that you can think of Dobby, Winky also has. Kind of notable ones is they're tied to their masters, which stinks. But the house elf, even in the book spoken about, is that they have unreal power. I mean, like, relative to wizards, it's unmatched. Like, the fact that they can still apparate into places where they shouldn't and stuff like that. Well, that was also because the Malfoys didn't think a house elf would, they didn't do the right kind of hack. Well, we don't have to keep going in depth. But I'm just saying they have really great magical abilities. So, yeah, this is fight night, and my vote is legitimately for Winky, my girl, dude.
Did you say who her master was?
I'm drawing a blank.
I thought she was,
Is she a Malfoy?
No, but listeners, correct me if I'm wrong, and we can look this up later. But I believe she was Barty Crouch's house elf.
What?
And when he died in
She's
the 4th book,
Master of None, yeah.
she went to Hogwarts, just like Dobby did in the books, and they work in the kitchen. I'm pretty sure she was Barty Crouch's house elf.
Okay, so she's masterless. That even changes my answer to even more on Team Winky, dog. I was already Team Winky. I was already in the corner, but you're telling me that she's without a master? That's insane. Yeah. So 100% on Team Winky. I actually kind of forgot about that. I don't know why. I thought she was just another one of the Malfoys, but maybe not.
No. So, and they both ended up in the kitchen, and
Yeah. 100% though. Blue Wizard versus Winky. Just on magical abilities alone. Now, I will say, so Tolkien was a huge language first, ability second, narrative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it really, he wrote the narrative around the language, right? But that's no slight to him. Beautiful books, beautiful everything.
Right.
What an amazing thing. It's never a slight. I'm just saying that it is noticeable because, I mean, look at the magical abilities of Gandalf. Even in the books and in the movies. It's like the most wizard you see him is in the first book, he makes his smoke out of his pipe look like a ship. You know what I mean? Like, he has cool
It's
fireworks.
pretty cool, though.
Yeah, I mean, he lights his staff. Like, when you think about just the sheer magical abilities, it dwindles down.
I don't know. The magical fight between him and Saruman, I mean, it's...
Yeah, but that's just bludgeoning, baby. That's one Protego away. You know what I mean? Like, that's a snap of the hell. But you're right. Okay, so there was a magical
Can
fight
elves
there.
use actual spells like that? Or do they just have little finger magic?
You're right. That's a good question. Well, okay, so first off, the only offensive that we see any of the house elves being is the pudding.
Oh,
that's the only offensive
Correct.
thing, I think, in the entire movie.
Because it's mainly defense. I mean,
offensive is a good defense, right?
Yeah.
Well, but I'm just saying, like, I think that's the only time that a house elf actually acts. Because everything else...
I mean, they're peaceful creatures, right?
Correct. but they're not peaceful today, baby.
Yeah.
They're not peaceful today. So I would assume that the levitation moving out, maybe we need to restrict their powers, but you know what I'm saying, though? Like, even Gandalf, I mean, in The Hobbit, he lights a few pine cones and stuff. Like, I'm just not wooed by the magical abilities. Oh, maybe he brings up the Nazguls, though, when Faramir attacks Osgiliath again.
Yeah, I agree. In the movies, it's not really shown, but
There's probably a lot of background.
I think it's implied that he's super powerful. But granted,
He
we're
does
not
take
talking...
down the Balrog.
Yeah,
I got to give that to
But
you.
to be fair, we're also not talking about Gandalf. We're talking about 2 wizards down. But still, the power levels very similar.
Yeah. You're right. Wait, well, you're actually... Now let's think back at this.
Because we don't see
Radagast. Radagast is the next one. Okay, you're right. Let me think back.
He heals animals, bro.
Yeah, you're right. He's got heal. He's got the heals.
But the thing about the Blue Wizards, which for the listeners, if you haven't figured out, I'm Team Blue Wizard. We don't know about them. Just blank slate.
Shroud of mystery. Yeah, we can only extrapolate.
They could be airbenders, earthbenders. We don't know.
Dude, that would actually be wild.
Yeah.
Like if they could. Yeah.
They could be elemental magic. We don't know.
Do the wizards have affinities? Like they've like
They like
character affinities.
they like certain
but,
races, but not really magical power
But
affinity.
I thought like Gandalf. I thought the one thing about Gandalf was like he was able to wield fire really well because of one of his rings or something.
So,
Or am I like barking up the wrong tree? So another thing is, I'll be honest. Like I'm not Lord of the Rings. I love the movies. I haven't got through the books. We're going to New Zealand upcoming this year, so maybe during that like 17-hour plane ride, I'll read the books, but.
Not necessarily.
I've read number 1 and Hobbit.
I think he has the fire ring, because elves got 3 rings. And I believe he got the fire ring, but it didn't really give him.
You don't think that was power from it, or do you think he's got his own?
So he's got his own power. It didn't give him affinity to fire power, but it just gave him.
And maybe I'm hammering just because the Hobbit. Like
Right.
I'm hammering that scene because I'm like, well, that's really the only like offensive thing I've really seen.
So the elven rings have names, but didn't give them any special ability toward that element. It just enhanced their power and their life. But elves and wizards really didn't need a life enhancement.
Yeah. Which is like wild to think about. Like this immortal race is going, you know what?
So all the rings, just real quick, were simply to enhance pretty much everything. So for the dwarves, it enhanced their greed. And that's how that corrupted them. The men, it enhanced their lust for power. And that's what corrupted them.
Dude, actually, now I'm thinking about it.
The elves really didn't have a corruptible
like quality because they're immortal. Yeah.
Correct, and they didn't have a need for power. They didn't have greed for money, so they couldn't be corrupted, and that was the flaw in Sauron's plan.
I see.
I guess it didn't get the dwarves either. It just drove them all mad and all that stuff. So
yeah,
but that was the plan. He wanted all the kings of all the races to be under his control. But anyway, we're diverging from the main.
Yeah, sorry. One thing on that diverging, though, it's kind of wild to think about the greed stuff because even look at The Hobbit. I mean, they call it like the sickness, right? When like Thorin's just like searching for the heart of the mountain. And that's without even the Ring of Power to help him. Maybe you can argue that at that time Bilbo does have the ring, so maybe it is rubbing off on him. But still, he gets that sickness regardless. So
yeah. I'm pretty sure
it's
Thorin's
wild to think about that. Like even without the Ring of Power, you know, they're still driven to madness just with greed. So
well,
can you imagine that like times like the go to 11? You know, I don't know.
Because I'm pretty sure Thorin's father had a ring and then lost it. Most of the dwarves lost it in the mines. Their rings.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh okay. So it wasn't like passed down.
So they were, but Sauron tried to collect all of them back, and he only got a handful of the dwarven rings because a lot of them were lost just deep in the mountains somewhere.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like some
or
weird,
in
like,
some dragon mound or whatever. But
yeah, that's another thing too. I mean, oh my gosh, you have all the water drakes from the south and everything like that, Smaug. But then also is it like a Thanos thing? You know what I mean? He's got the Ring of Power, but then he gets all the
other
five.
rings.
Yeah, and it's like how much does that mace hit? You know what I mean in the beginning. So sorry, let's go back to it. So honestly, for Fight Night, we don't have to say who wins or not. We're just kind of talking about powers and balancing. But honestly. Yeah, I think they're just so shrouded in unknowns. I don't know if I'd be able to. I'm still Team Winky, right? I love her. You know what I mean? She's the bomb. I mean, she'd freaking mash their potatoes any day, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like they come in and, dude, they come in strapped. She's gonna come. She's coming in with some heat.
Yeah, I mean,
like
especially because Blue
heat.
Wizards are a package deal. I think they,
it's a wombo combo. Yeah, there's two of them. Yeah. But still, I feel like she's got it. He's got to be. I mean, well, because the only reason why I think she has it isn't it? I'm extrapolating here. You see Saruman and Gandalf, and you go, okay, whoa, those are two super powerful people. I'm feeling pretty confident about that. But then you see Gandalf to Radagast, and you're like, dude, okay, this is an exponential drop, right?
Granted, we didn't really see Radagast fight because he chose not to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, but you know what I mean, though? Like,
and that's the beauty about both these characters. We really don't know the true power of a house elf, and we really don't know the true power of these blue wizards, right? So it's a big unknown.
Yep.
It's a lot of imagination, right? Because like you said, I mean, the pudding thing was really the only offensive thing we saw any house elf do.
100%.
Dobby really did not attack the Malfoys. He literally just got everybody out.
He does one more offensive thing. He Expelliarmus, and he
makes the chandelier fall,
But the funny
right?
thing is, he doesn't do that by magic.
Correct.
But that was also a comic element.
Correct.
He could have done that by magic.
Correct.
Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, but they were like making a joke of it. Yeah. They were trying to go down. But yeah, you're right.
I guess he does in the second movie push Lucius Malfoy back. Is that an offense or is that a defense on Harry? You know what I mean?
It's such an odd thing. But also work strapping between Dobby to Winky. Maybe Winky doesn't have that dog in her. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. You know what? The fight with secondary. So another thing, dear listeners, we don't talk about this before. This is all
off
new.
The cuff.
Yeah, this is all off the cuff. So another thing too is maybe with the fight night we might have to like slim it down, or maybe not slim it down, but maybe do like more known powers. This is also random, right?
Yeah.
This was just
correct.
I called my wife and I said, hey, just choose random numbers, because we already had this on an Excel sheet. So she just said, 1, 2, or 3, whatever.
Yeah,
and we got this out of it. So,
but let us know what you think. Do you think they have more defined powers? Who do you think if you had to choose, who do you think you would?
If you're Team Winky, you're right, but
maybe not. But let us know who you think win.
I would love to hear that. Yeah, maybe we're missing something huge because there's someone who's read the Silmarillion.
Correct.
Or there's someone.
Oh my God! If you're out there and you've read the Silmarillion, props to you because
kudos.
It's
a history book.
Oh my goodness! The Hobbit is readable. The Lord of the Rings trilogy book, it's super dense. It's tough. I mean, it's a great story.
Yep, I got through.
Silmarillion is like at least twice more dense. So good for you if you've read the Silmarillion.
Yeah.
I've read snippets online, but wow.
I'm like the worst too, because I go to Instagram Reels and someone's like, "Did you know that this?" And I was like, "Whoa!" And then of course it's like Subway Surfer in the background. I'm like, "Gosh, man, how have I fallen?" You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I can ever get myself to like read the book. But somehow when someone just gets a 15-second chunk of it, I'm all in. So. And by the way, if we ever do forget to reference to something, please let us know. We will correct it in our show notes or on our social media. Say, oh, by the way, here's our recommendation. And maybe that's what we'll do. We'll do a running tab of this is what inspired this conversation, right? Yeah. And we'll just kind of see the books.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, Mark, how you feeling? I feel like we're in a good spot.
Yeah, this is great. This is our first full recording, first episode, yeah.
Yeah, so honestly, what we really want to do at this time is we want to thank everyone for listening. And we also want to say that we talked a lot about reaching out to us, whether that's for questions, for additional mix-ups, right? So if you have another character ideas, or maybe we haven't touched on a lore that you really like, just let us know. Same thing with the what ifs, right? Mix-ups, what ifs, same thing, right? If there's any topics that you want to hit, please let us know. And then also, please, if you can, when we say reach out, that would be on Instagram. We're the Live, Laugh, Lore Pod. That's no spaces and no caps, so Live, Laugh, Lore Pod. As well as you can email us at livelaughLorePod@gmail.com. That's livelaughLorePod@gmail.com.
And lastly, we just want to give a shout out for this episode to Tony's wife, Jenna, for lovingly pushing us for the last couple of years to finally getting set up and a recorded episode, as well as picking our mix-up for this episode.
Yeah, 2 years. It's been, and also another shout out to her. We have officially converted one room of our house to a pure podcast studio.
Yes.
I know that was a big ask and everything, so I totally appreciate her. She's awesome. And yeah, we'd love to have her at one point, right? We'd love to have her on an episode. We will have it on an episode eventually, but
we'll see if she'll accept. So
yeah,
she doesn't know much about lore, but might be it'll be fun for us.
It'll be so much fun, and she has so many. She'll have a lot of good insights that will pull us down a lot of rabbit holes that we might not initially appreciate at the time. But yeah, well, that being said, thank you so much for sticking in. And thank you for listening to episode 1.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.